What is good, Ninja? OG over here from PlayerEssence, and welcome to their PE Nintendo Switch and Gaming News video. Today we have some awesome topics to go over, in addition to some pretty sad state of affairs over at Capcom when it comes to Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite sales numbers. Guys, this is not good, and I have a nice discussion on that, but that will be at the end of the video. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this news first, and that is Steam World Dig 2 has the biggest launch in Steam World history. So Image Inform has indicated last week that Steam World Dig 2 was off to a fast start on the Nintendo Switch, only after being available for a couple of days. Today, the company has shared more on the game's strong debut. Image Inform has said that Steam World Dig 2 is the biggest launch in Steam World history. It is sold faster than any other game the team has previously made, specifically on the Nintendo Switch. Steam World Dig 2 is topping the charts in as good as every country. Now, what the most encouraging news is of all this is that Image Inform has already earned back most of the game's total development budget, and that bodes well for the studio going forward, because that's the biggest thing, is that the first day sales, you want to see that your game is going to make back a large portion, at least 60 to 70% of your development budget. I mean, sometimes if you can, especially for an indie game, maybe for a bigger game not as much, but you want to set a sales target and you want to be able to hit that fairly quickly. And I'm pretty sure, since they're already near their development budget, which this game was co-developed, I guess, by some union in Europe or something like that, so they did have a little bit of help funding the game. They also got some promotion from Nintendo as well. So if it's almost made back that development budget, that is very good, because a year from now, this game's going to continue selling thousands of copies a month or whatever the case is, and you're really going to start to see the profits come in after a bit. So really happy for Steam World Dig 2. I'm in the last stretches of beating the game myself, and I cannot wait to kind of get through it and see if I can 100% the whole thing. I guess there's some pretty cool stuff if you do that. So let me know what you guys think about Steam World Dig 2, in addition to the great sales on the Nintendo Switch specifically, because remember, this was not including the PC and the PS4 release. So once those sales numbers come in, I think they're going to be really good, and then of course they can start really profiting off of the game that they made and put that into making bigger and better games going forward. So let me know what you guys think about Steam World Dig 2 sales in the comment section below. Alright, and moving on to the next article here. Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet producer discusses the lack of a Nintendo Switch version and can consider it if many fans do request it. So at least for now, Bandai Namco has no plans to bring Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet to the Nintendo Switch. Producer Yosuke Futami recently explained why. According to Futami, the team targeted all high-end consoles to reach as many players as possible. Currently, there are no plans for a Nintendo Switch version, which in large part is because the console didn't exist when the development started 3 years ago. Futami did say that if many fans request the Nintendo Switch version, it could be considered. So let's talk about this before, because I got kind of some heat whenever I talked about this, as far as some Japanese developers simply starting to make their games well before the Nintendo Switch there was even dev kits or anything. This is fact. This is real. 3 years ago, whenever these games are being produced, they're not produced like that overnight. They're produced over long periods of time, especially big games like Sword Art Online using Unreal Engine 4. It's not like an indie developer where they can port things over very quickly. These games do take years to develop, and from what we know, 2016 is when most people got their dev kits. Well, this game started development 3 years ago, so obviously they didn't have a Nintendo Switch. However, I will say this: you have to look at the current landscape, and I understand you have to be able to maneuver. You're trying to reach as many players as possible, which is cool, but you also have to look at the context of those players that you're trying to reach. Listen, guys, we've seen the sales come out of Japan. We've seen the sales come out now, which we're going to talk about Marvel vs. Capcom. A lot of Xbox One consumers are just not buying Japanese games. This is just the fact of the matter. They're not buying Japanese games despite this huge 30 million plus install base. Japanese games just aren't selling on the system. So yes, you want to make sure that you reach as many players as possible, but you do need to maneuver now and look at the landscape of what's going on. Landscape is very, very important when you're talking about video game sales, and when you're talking about what are you going to invest your time and resources into. And looking at this, looking at the game, and looking at what the Xbox consumer base is buying, I'm pretty sure the landscape is going to be, this game probably won't sell too well on that system. Now, PS4, I think it's going to do okay. Obviously, we've seen the Sword Art Online games do okay on PlayStation systems. Plus, the system, as far as the PS4, is established in Japan, where this game can pick up quite a bit of sales. And if you look at the Xbox One in Japan, what is the landscape of that territory? garbage for Japan. So you have to look at what the Nintendo Switch is doing, and you have to maneuver things. Now, I do feel that this game eventually will get there, just because Bandai Namco is being a little bit slower on things, but the sales of Pokken Tournament, like I said, which we'll talk about in a little bit, are probably going to change a few things when it comes to Bandai Namco and what they're doing. On top of that, they need to just finish the game first. So I do feel that the game will eventually come to the Switch, of course, if the fans demand it, and if the sales continue to go as the Nintendo Switch are going. This game is built with Unreal Engine 4, so it is possible to be on the Nintendo Switch. So we'll see what happens in the future, but I would think that Bandai Namco would have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to things, because I'm starting to notice this quite a bit with some of their games. And yes, they're going to stay mum on this, because I personally feel that games like this are probably better fit for like a Nintendo Direct and Nintendo collaborating with them in order to promote the game, whether it's Code Vein or this game right here from Bandai Namco. So I have a feeling that these Unreal Engine 4 based games, just on what we've heard before, are going to be coming over to Nintendo Switch, but it is going to take a little bit of time before we do see some of them based on their plans 3 years ago, whatever the case they were saying. But please, Bandai Namco, you guys are smart enough to look at the landscape and judge from there. We'll have to wait and see on that one. So if you guys do want Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet on the Nintendo Switch, please make sure you tweet Bandai Namco. Let them know that Nintendo Switch owners do want this, and maybe we get one in the future. Alright, and moving into the last topic here, we have a discussion on the Media Create sales for September 18th, 2017 through September 24th, 2017, with Pokken Tournament DX topping the charts. But I think the biggest thing here, and I'm not really going to go over all the charts, I'll mention a few titles here and there. If you want to see the full Media Create, you can definitely check that out. I'm pretty sure many of you guys already have. A lot of you guys probably want to know my opinion that I've already been kind of letting out on Twitter on this whole Marvel vs. Capcom and Capcom situation that is going on right now. So Pokken Tournament DX opened up at 53,395 sales physical when it comes to the Media Create sales charts, okay? Now, if you go all the way down, all right, to number 8, because Pokken Tournament on the Nintendo Switch, with the install base of almost 2 million in Japan, beat out Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is a brand new game. So we have a port, okay? A port of a Wii U game outselling a brand new game on the PS4 with an install base that is bigger, okay, by nearly 5 to 1. Pokken Tournament DX sold 53,395 units, like I've stated. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite on the PS4 sold 8,273 units. Guys, I don't like to hype up or dramify or whatever the case is when it comes to companies doing bad. Like, I try not to do it, but this is very, very bad. Like Capcom, this is bad. This is really bad, especially for this franchise. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 did way better. I don't have the sales numbers in front of me as far as Japan goes. Maybe I'll throw it up. But Marvel vs. Capcom 3 did much better, and this is just really bad. And this is the problem when you bank on the PS4 and Xbox One so much, especially when you're talking about trying to sell 2 million copies of this game with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. 2 million copies, and you can only sell it on one system in one of the biggest markets that you have, Capcom, which is Japan. And one of the biggest markets, you can only sell it on one system because the PS4 and PC base are not as big in Japan. So all you have is PS4, and this is the sales result. I mean, you're getting outsold by, what was it? What was that game by Koei Tecmo? Knights of Azure 2 outsold like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Heck, NBA 2K18, a basketball game, an American basketball game, annual basketball game, outsold Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite in Japan with 14,487 sales. There's no way to sugarcoat this, guys. Usually if it's like 10,000, it's like, okay, well, pretty bad. But underneath 10,000, not including digital sales, and getting blown out by a port on the Switch, Capcom must be shook by this one. This one has definitely shook Capcom because they were expecting to sell 2 million copies of this game. We already know in the UK it's not doing so well. We still need to wait on the US sales, which I do think that will be better than this, but this is definitely not good to see. And Capcom has to be shook from this one. There's no way that you can sit here and say, oh, well, they don't care. No, they do care, because their sales projections to investors were 2 million units. They'll be lucky to even hit 100,000 in Japan. I doubt they'll even get anywhere near that. On top of that, guys, this is even where it gets worse. Street Fighter on the Switch, back in May, outsold it in its first week. That has sold over 100,000 units so far in Japan plus, and that was months ago. That sold 16,000 units in its debut week. So even Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Nintendo Switch outsold it. And even dating back to some of Capcom's other games, last year you had Street Fighter 5 on the PlayStation 4. That sold 41,990 units in its first week. And then even if you go to, like, let's just say Tekken on the PlayStation 4, that sold 58,736 units earlier this year, back in June. So those ones blew out Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite as well. And I would think at this point they are definitely going to fast track those Switch plans, because as you can clearly see, the Capcom games just aren't selling in Japan as much as they need to be. They're not selling worldwide as much as they need to be. And I feel that a new way to reach more consumers is definitely hitting that portable aspect. And I think that's even the reason why Pokken Tournament and Street Fighter have even sold well, is because you can just play a portable fighting game. If you're out somewhere, you can get a couple matches in. It's just not as appealing as going home and playing it. In my opinion, that's the reason why people are double dipping and buying some of these fighting games on the Nintendo Switch. Heck, even Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 did pretty well. Once again, that is a port of an older game that came out. So all of these fighting games on the Nintendo Switch have done better than a lot of Capcom's fighting games that they're putting out on bigger install bases in Japan and even sometimes worldwide. Pokken Tournament's definitely outsold Street Fighter 5. So that's the one thing that I'd say to Capcom. I definitely think this has them shook, and expect many 2018 announcements for Nintendo Switch ports. Whether it's the bigger games or the smaller ones that we did miss out on, Capcom has to make up this money, because Marvel vs. Capcom 2 isn't hitting anywhere near its 2 million projection unit. Like, it's just not going to hit that with these sales from the UK, from Europe, down in Japan, where you barely even sell 10,000 copies and the sales are probably going to go down the next week. Yeah, that's not good. So expect them to hit the panic button and start getting even porting more when it comes to Nintendo Switch, and just probably changing a few things around, because this is pitiful sales. And like I said, I'm not huge on talking about it or harping into this company when it comes to Capcom, but yeah, they're definitely going to have to change course, because this is not looking very good for them right now. Alright, Ninja, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Really helps us spread the content of PlayerEssence across the interwebs in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon page. Pledge any tier, be entered to win some awesome prizes each month. In addition to that, we have Discord voice chat and $10 prize eShop tournaments for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon 2, and more. So support PE Live and PE Arena right here on PlayerEssence. Also, make sure you hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest Japanese, Nintendo, and RPG gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you, Ninja, for the next video. Peace.